Raul Castro thanks Pope Francis for brokering Cuba-US deal. Cuban President Raul Castro has praised Pope Francis for brokering the restoration of relations between Cuba and the U.S., announced in December. At the end of an audience at the Vatican, Mr. Castro said he had thanked the Pope for his contribution for the historic rapprochement. Secret negotiations to put an end to more than 5 decades of hostilities were carried out inside the Vatican. The Pope will visit Cuba on his way to the U.S. in September. I am very happy. I have come here to thank him for what he has done to begin solving the problems of the United States and Cuba, said Mr. Castro. The communist leader had stopped at the Vatican after attending Russia's World War II Victory Day in Moscow. After the audience with the Pope, Mr. Castro said he was so impressed by a Vatican audience with Pope Francis that he might return to the faith he was born into. Mr. Castro praised the pontiff's wisdom, adding, "I will resume praying and turn to the Church again if the Pope continues in this vein." The Catholic Church has maintained ties with Havana since the 1959 revolution. The fact that the man who helped lead the Cuban Revolution would even joke about returning to the Catholic Church shows just how far the relationship between Havana and the Vatican has moved forward recently. That has been particularly true under Pope Francis. First, the pontiff played the crucial role in smoothing the path to negotiations between Cuba and the U.S. over the past 18 months. Furthermore, he has given his blessing to the process and to the Cuban government by arranging to come to Cuba in September before his visit to the U.S. As a Latin American himself, Pope Francis has always been able to maintain good ties with Latin American leaders from both the left and the right. He has repeatedly called for the U.S. trade embargo on Cuba to be lifted, for example. Now he is hosted, and seemingly wooed, Raul Castro in Rome, strengthening the ties even further. Hardly surprising Mr. Castro is considering returning to Mass. But the state-run newspaper Granma omitted Mr. Castro's comments about returning to the church when it reported the meeting on its website. The reflection, perhaps, of how surprising it is for Cubans to hear Mr. Castro make such comments, whether tongue-in-cheek or not. For Pope Francis, the restoration of relations between the U.S. and Cuba has been a major diplomatic achievement, says the BBC's David Willey in Rome. The U.S. had imposed a trade embargo after Cuba's revolution, which it began to lift late last year. After the 15th new private audience on